Hey everyone, welcome to Small Batch Devs. My name is Austin.
And I'm Elliot. The next few episodes are going to be in this webcam format as we practice responsible social distancing.
Because of the C word.
Coronavirus. We're going to be adding the Firebase Authentication service to our blog app today.
What this will do will just allow anyone to sign up or sign into our blog application, so stick around. So what is Firebase Authentication? So Firebase Authentication is a back-end service in Firebase that allows you to create, sign in, and sign out users through your application.
And it has easy-to-use SDKs as well as a Firebase console where you can manage all of your users.
Also is Auth 2.0 and OpenID Connect compliant. Those are basically industry standards right now for web authentication.
And the Firebase team has also built a complementary library called Firebase UI, and it comes with a pre-built UI where you don't have to code any of the CSS or HTML. That just hooks into your Firebase authentication and looks really nice.
So as far as Firebase's user management, what this allows the Firebase admins to really take care of is disabling and deleting different accounts that people make if they need to, and also helps with password reset if that's something they need to take care of as well.
Firebase comes with several authentication services that hook into it, so you can use email and password, Gmail, Twitter, Facebook, GitHub, and several other sign-in processes.
There are also templates that you can modify in Firebase, and these are basically for if you need to send out an email or a text message to the users for password reset or SMS verification. You can actually manage what those messages look like.
So now we're going to cover the Firebase console steps needed to set up your authentication service. So navigate to your Firebase console and click on the Authentication tab in the left side menu.
Hit the Sign-in Method tab here and select the Google item from the table because we're going to be integrating Google Authentication. You do need to hit that Enable toggle so it's actually enabled. We're going to rename our public-facing name. You can select email. We're just going to use our Small Batch Devs email, and that's pretty much it. You can hit Save, and there you go. We have Google Authentication enabled in Firebase so far. We still need to add it to our blog.
Nice job.
That's the first step.
The next steps are to set up our security rules for our future coding updates to our authentication service. So we're going to click on Database in the left side navigation. Then we're going to navigate to the Rules tab. Here we're going to update these so that we can allow everyone, even if they're not logged in, to read our blog posts, but we'll only allow administrators to write blog posts. So we're just going to separate these read and write allow statements, and we're going to set the read to if true, which will let anyone read from our database, but we're going to set the write to if request.auth.uid equals. So this is going to be the UID of your main app user, your admin user. We're just going to put in some dummy UIDs here just for the sake of demonstration, but later, once you sign in for the first time, you can then go back to your authentication tab and you will see your user populated with its UID that you can then copy and paste into this security role.
So let's go ahead and dive into the actual coding implementation of our Firebase authentication.
Before we get started, we're just going to import the Auth Fire module into our app module so we can use all of its classes and services.
What we're going to do here is generate a service using the ng CLI, so nggs shared, because we're just pointing to where our services are in the directory, shared services, and then we're going to have an authentication directory and our auth service in there, so we just have auth. This will generate our service for us, and then we're going to put basically all our sign in and sign out methods in there, as well as being able to get a user. So we'll just do that real quick.
Cue the music.
So just to explain what we did here, we have our small batch devs email, which we'll use just to ensure that whenever we're trying to submit data or create new blogs, it's only the person logged in with our email that's doing it and no one else can, just for the time being at least. We also created a user observable, which just goes out to Angular Fire Auth to get our user information. We have our sign in Google method down here. We have this sign in with pop-up, and you'll kind of see what that does a little bit later once we actually demonstrate. It's going to actually pop up a Google login window. In this method, you can see we are using this.ngzone.run method, and we need this because we're navigating from within a service, so Angular will complain about not having this if we don't have it. A little further down, we have the is small batch devs logged in method. We're going to ensure that the user logged in is with the small batch devs email, and that's just what this method is doing. And then we have our logout method.
Okay, so now we're going to update our homepage component with a login button and a logout button, as well as keeping track of the current user so we can show on our homepage who's currently logged in. So here we go.
Cue the music.
Now in our HTML, you can see we've added a div that shows the current user logged in, and this is just using an async pipe to look at that auth variable that we set up, current user. However, if we don't get an email from this current user, meaning there is no current user, it will show this login link here, and we're using the ng templates and an ng if statement to coordinate that flipping of the logged in versus the logged out display.
Now we can go ahead and create our login component, which will just basically have a button on it. That button, when you click it, it will actually trigger our Google Authentication service function and ask you and prompt you to log in. We'll go ahead and create that component in the using the Angular CLI. So to do that, we'll do ng-gc for component, and then we'll just point to where we want it in our directory structure, which is in modules, home, pages, and then login. So let's just go ahead and dive into actually coding up this component.
Alright, I'll take over.
Cue the gosh darn music.
So our login component is very simple. We just have a Google login function here that calls our authentication service sign in with Google method, and that's really it. We did add some HTML, so we have a button here with our login button class, and it just has a click method on it that actually calls our Google login function. SCSS here, just a little bit of styling.
The second to last step is we have to make a router guard so that we can control who has access to what pages. Namely, we want to only allow authenticated people with the email of smallbatchdevs@gmail access to our edit page. So to do that, we're going to generate a new router guard. And we're just going to use the Angular CLI again, and we're going to go ahead and type in ng-gs, and we're going to put it in our shared services. This is a pretty quick and simple service. Basically what it does is it implements the can activate method that router guards provide and that Angular listens for. And it's just checking to see if not only is someone logged in, but that they also have the email of smallbatchdevs@gmail. That's what this method does here. If they don't, we're going to navigate them back to the home page, and this router guard will return false, which means that they are not allowed to access whatever page they were trying to get to.
So the last thing we have to do here is add our logging component to our router, as well as add our authguard service that we created in the last step to our edit component routes. So let's go ahead and do that.
Cue the music. Cue the music.
So as you can see here, we have our authguard service in both our edit component with and without a UID in that can activate field. It is in an array, so you can add multiple authguard services to components. If we hop over to our browser now, we should be able to click on the login button here, and you can see we have the sign in with Google button. A window did pop up. It popped up in a different window, and we selected the smallbatchdevs@gmail login, and now you can see we are logged in and we have our authguard service, and now we should be able to hit new posts, and you can see it here. But if we log out and go to new post, it will not allow us.
Today we covered some of the basics of Firebase Authentication and implemented Google sign-in into our blog application.
We hope you learned a thing or two, and hopefully by now you're able to implement Firebase Authentication into your own web app.
Yeah, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.
Thanks for watching.